You know what I like to do?
Talk into a microphone?
Yeah, and also get in on the action with sports
Have a big
interaction.
head.
Yeah. Wear bare feet in the freezing cold.
Be a dad.
Friggin' wear V-necks that are actually
It's not a V-neck, okay?
Sorry.
Sports interaction. NHL, NBA, MLB, so much more. It's the friend I don't have, clearly. Crazy Odds, best live and play. Download the app in Ontario. You can use the QR code at the bottom of the screen, or you can head to sportsinteraction.com/STPN to get started. 19 plus. Please play responsibly and get better friends.
Yell at the computer. He does that too.
Where is Maple Leaf Sports going to find a general manager to be able to step in, make the kind of moves they have to make? And let's go through that list very quickly. Re-sign Austin Matthews. Make a decision on what you're going to do in terms of what this team is going to look like.
Nylander into the
Nylander as well. And here's the thing. Now you're further hampered by what CJ broke yesterday on the CJ show. Brendan Shanahan.
Oh, can we play that?
Yeah. Do you want to play it, Jess? Mm-hmm. This is really important because it's hamstrung any moves the new general manager would hope to make with a team. He's, by the way, stepping into a job with a bunch of people who are pro Dubas. Everybody that's worked there, Dubas put there.
Mm-hmm. Which Shanahan gave him autonomy to do.
Yes.
And he let him go because of a few bad days.
So this is where I wonder about, and Jesse's just pulling the clip here, I wonder about how this benefits either side. And I've spent my weekend wondering if it's not a good idea that maybe later this week they pick up the phone call and go, maybe we really fucked this up. But let's play this.
What's interesting to me is that Brendan Shanahan phoned each of the Leafs top players last week to share the news about Kyle Dubas, and that those players came away from those conversations believing that Brendan Shanahan's intention is to bring the entire core four back. Now, that's not written in stone, and obviously we don't know who the GM is. Maybe the new GM has a different perspective on that, but I do think it's interesting that as much as we've focused on the possibility for change, maybe even the need for change, that those players actually believe that they're going to be back together, at least at this point in time. I was a little surprised by that. I mean, just because there's been so much talk, and obviously even Kyle Dubas had opened the door on his last Monday press conference saying that everything would be on the table if he was running the team. Well, Brendan Shanahan's the top voice in the hockey department. And, I don't know if he gave assurances or promises, we might get into semantics here, but certainly those players, I don't think are bracing to be traded now. Even as much speculation is out there, it just seems that they believe the organization wants to move forward with them as a core four. So that'll be something to watch.
So
now you're bringing in a general manager, just to recap, you're bringing in a general manager who's got to figure out Dubas's people and figure out who of them are on side and willing to work with him too. Because remember, that all plays a part of this too. Are they loyal to the Leafs? Are they loyal to Dubas?
And you have like half a cap to work with.
And now you can't really trade the big guys because Shanny's not going to approve it.
Dubas was finally willing to move on from at least one of these guys, maybe two. And the day he said that was the day you were like, you know what? Maybe he's not the GM for us. So now, like, as we gather evidence, as we hear more reports from Friedge, from CJ, the less I just believe what Shanahan said.
You knew it was always going to be one-sided, right? If you're going to hear from one side of the equation, it's one-sided.
Yeah, but there's like Dubas was willing to move on from guys. Shanahan's not willing to do that. So if the decision's already made for the new guy, I'm wondering what incentive there is for the new guy to come on board. What are they even going to do?
That's a lot of money.
I'm sure it's a lot of money, but what are they even going to do if the decision is made for them? And this is why it's such a short-sighted position, and this is why I thought there could have been some sort of resolution here. So, Dubas and his agent bring you the package. At some point, I would have hoped for like a line in the sand conversation where you at least say, here's our line, and we are not willing to go over it. And Dubas can do the same. And if Dubas walks, fine. If you draw your line in the sand and you walk, fine. It doesn't sound like that conversation happened. It just sounded like, you know what? I'm done with this. And he was let go. And it's extremely short-sighted because it's now left them in a situation where, like, Brad Treliving is the top candidate, it sounds like. The Calgary Flames won't let him work the draft.
By the way, Sports Interaction, Brad Treliving is the number one at 220-1.
Yeah. To me, a GM who is not able to work the next 5-6 weeks for the Toronto Maple Leafs is a non-option. That's a non-option. You can't hire that person because what are you talking about? We have the draft. We have a number of players to re-sign and potentially trade. Marner's no move kicks in.
July 1st.
Although he's not getting traded, the decision was made for you. Matthews' no trade kicks in. Although, he's not getting traded, the decision was made for you. Nylander's no trade kicks in. Although he's not getting traded, the decision was made for you. I'm just wondering what the job of the next GM even is if they can't work over the next month and a half and all the decisions have already been made.
Well, and maybe you're seeing why Kyle Dubas submitted that last minute change.
No shit.
It sounds like Kyle Dubas he'd be fine with the outcome of this situation if sticking around was contingent on having autonomy and being moved above or at least on par with Brendan Shanahan and making the decisions for the organization. Because if he wanted that autonomy and he didn't get it, then he's perfectly fine with leaving the organization.
Yeah.
So the hey, I wish Kyle Dubas stuck around is like Kyle Dubas didn't want to stick around because he wouldn't have had the decision making that he wanted. So there was no place for him here.
Which brings me to
and just on Brendan's side, if he wouldn't give up that decision making. So there was kind of no resolution here. If that was the only thing on the table, both guys should say no to that.
I think there was a level of immaturity to both sides.
But where's the resolution if both guys want that autonomy?
You have to give both guys would have to give a little. The best
and they weren't
negotiations
willing to.
Agreed. And the best negotiations are ones where both sides walk away feeling a little bit like, fuck, I left something on the table. But we came to a resolution. I think, the best negotiations, best compromises are you're not fully happy, but you got some of what you wanted. Shanahan could have given a little.
Yeah.
Dubas could have given a little.
Dubas asked for some things, and the Leafs could have told him no.
Yeah.
But,
the way they communicated
they could have come back.
By firing.
Brendan, you're dealing with a person in Brendan Shanahan who's not willing to lose the negotiation at all, not willing to give anything up. So it's that.
I do wish they negotiated with their players like that.
Yeah, that's the start and end with Shanahan.
This is how it all ended. With an agent,
which is
a little too cute.
I think that's unfortunate because I think you should be able to give and get in those situations. And if the power was the whole thing, it's a start and stop with Brendan Shanahan. And I don't agree with that at all. But that's his thinking in this situation.
So there's sides being taken here. Brendan was in the right, Kyle was in the right, or Kyle was in the wrong. Brendan was in the wrong, and I think that clouds the bigger conversation of the Toronto Maple Leafs, the state of the Toronto Maple Leafs is far less healthy than it was last week. They're in a really, really bad situation.
They are.
Yeah.
And they might come out of it fine, but signs are not pointing that way.
And I don't think there's real sides to pick. Like the picking sides is it's like a fun game, but we don't know everything that went on, so you can't really pick the sides. And also, these are two guys who are playing corporate politics. That's what's happening. And there's no good or bad, and there's no right side or wrong side. It's an unfortunate ending, and this is how it played out.
Agreed. And I think you're nailing it, Jesse. And I think the problem here is that neither side benefits from it.
No.
Nobody is better off today for it. So if you have two reasonable sides working towards a conclusion, you will get there. You will get there. But we didn't have that here. And I think, and I'm sorry to cut you off there. And I think this is where, we're really going to see, this is why Shanahan is now the head of things. This is why he's the face of things. So when you are angry about the next GM's moves, don't be. You know who the GM really is.
But it started with the Shanahan plan.
I know.
When did he stop becoming the face of things?
Well, because he allowed for Dubas to take more of the good and the bad.
His guy who he brought in. And I go back to what I said before this whole process started. How does Brendan Shanahan have this bullet? He shouldn't have this bullet. This is your guy. This is your guy. Everything about it. And maybe the reason he gets to spend the bullet is they're satisfied with the job he did. So I ask again, why isn't he the GM of the Leafs today?